born from destruction. Men built me carefully, piece by piece, like I was an answer. They lifted me to the light. They admired the workmanship. They did not yet see the bodies. His hands were cold. The first hands always are. He held me like training could save him. It couldn't. Then he fired. A body fell. His and his enemies. That was the first thing I learned about men. They call it duty before they see it up close. She was different. She did not want me. She wanted the world to change. I was what she had. She called it necessary, but her hands knew the cost. Belief is not the dangerous part. The dangerous part is what grief becomes when belief gives it a name. He did not pick me up for a cause. He picked me up because the house was gone, because the names were gone, because the dead were heavier than his body could carry alone. He needed somewhere to put his grief. He put it in me. He was not justice. He was grief wearing the mask of purpose. He did not want me. I felt that immediately. He held me like an apology. Outside was death. Inside was his family. I was the distance between them. They call that necessity. But necessity lingers. It becomes fluency, then habit. That is how the world forgets it had another choice. Here, I lost my story. I became cargo, a number, a shipment. Men who would never fire me still made sure I arrived. They moved me beside food, medicine, machine parts. That is how war survives. Not only through hate, through paperwork, through roots, through people who need the money more than they need a clean conscience. I became ordinary here. Not sacred, not political, not even personal. Inventory, product, supply. The men were not cruel, that shocks. They were cruel in the way that lasts. I learned something here. I do not need belief. I work for anyone. I had known conviction before. This was something worse. Not belief. Certainty. Certainty without doubt. certainty without cost, certainty without the last human hesitation. And understand this, that is not strength. That is what happens when a man has emptied himself enough to mistake permission for faith. Every hand that held me thought it was the exception. Every hand had a reason. Revenge, hunger, fear, duty, survival, God, country, grief. None of them set me down. They called me protection. They called me freedom. They called me justice. They called me bread. No one called me what I was. I was grief given direction. I was fear made portable. I was sorrow hardened into habit. They say I ruined generations, but I was never the beginning. I was only the answer they kept choosing. And still, when the dust settles, they leave me for their children.